You know how disturbing that is to me?
Who said that?
I can't tell you. He knows who he is.
Don Charles came out swinging, not just at Dubois' performance, but at his entire character. He made it crystal clear he refuses to stand in the corner of a quitter. After that shameful collapse against Usyk, Don's done. He's split with Dubois for good, calling him a disgrace to real fighters and an insult to the sport. And just when you thought it couldn't get more savage, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren enter the scene, and they didn't hold back either.
When we get something wrong, when I get my job wrong, I get the sack. I get sacked, I get fired.
Don Charles was publicly disrespected by Dubois and his father, and now he's getting the last laugh. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren ripped into them, calling the whole situation absolute rubbish. Dubois froze under pressure, got embarrassed in front of the world, and still blamed others. That defeat wasn't just a loss, it was a full-on shoe beating.
Stan Dubois, Daniel Dubois' father, and Don Charles have had a massive fallout, and he won't be in the corner.
Absolute, complete and utter rubbish. The absolute and utter garbage.
Honestly, nothing really. People keep talking about if Daniel will deal with the occasion, the emotion, the trainers, the dad. It don't matter. He's going to make a load of mistakes, but he's going to be really dangerous. If he had no trainer, if it was just him and his dad, I think it would be the same fight.
Don Charles absolutely tore into Dubois here, comparing him to a chameleon who hides behind fake personalities and rehearsed emotions. He's basically saying Dubois is a fraud who blends in to survive, not to fight. The games, the drama, the fake tears, Don saw through all of it. And after that loss, the mask is officially shattered.
Sussed him, because I said, this man's like a chameleon. Changes colors to fit in within, infiltrate his environment. He knows that will suss him. All that acting, games and that, he uses it as a smoke screen to cover what's actually really going on. I'm not going to elaborate anymore.
Even Gareth A. Davies was stunned by the split, and given how long they'd been together, this next bit caught everyone off guard. Gareth Davies couldn't believe it, and that says everything. If Don Charles walked away after years of loyalty, something serious went wrong. That split wasn't about one fight. It was about a man who saw Dubois quit, fake it, and blame everyone but himself. For Don to walk? That's not a breakup. That's pure rejection.
Well, yes, I did think it was a certain shock in some ways because they've been together so long and you're used to them being together. And
Even Gareth admits it. Something stinks here. For Don Charles to walk away from someone he got on with for years, Dubois must have crossed a serious line. Maybe it was disloyalty, maybe it was weakness. Either way, Don had enough, and calling this a money business doesn't hide the truth. Dubois wasn't worth standing beside anymore.
Instinctively, what I thought straight away, more could come out. They might have fallen out over something, I don't know, but it's not likely because they get on so well. People will say, oh, is that disloyal of the fighter? But this is a money business.
And Frank Warren added even more fire, revealing just how badly the trust and chemistry had collapsed. Frank Warren just confirmed it. The split didn't come out of nowhere. This camp had been fractured for years. Arguments, tension, people walking on eggshells. And through it all, Dubois kept folding, mentally and physically. Frank didn't say it directly, but we get the message. Dubois was unstable long before Usyk handed him that beating.
A couple of times over the years where, for various reasons, you get pissed off or you don't argue anything. Yeah, that's happened in the past.
Adi Oladipo's tone says it all. He knows there's more to the Dubois, Don Charles fallout than meets the eye. He's trying to stay neutral, but even he can't hide the shock. The truth? This wasn't just another coach-fighter argument. This was the implosion of a hype job. Dubois didn't just lose a fight, he lost the respect of a seasoned trainer, the trust of his team, and the belief of the fans. Don Charles didn't walk away over boxing tactics. He left because Dubois exposed himself as a mentally fragile quitter who couldn't handle pressure, couldn't take criticism, and definitely couldn't be trusted in war. Adi tried to soften it, but the silence between the words screams louder. Even insiders are stunned by how fast Dubois fell apart. One big loss, and everything crumbled. That's not bad luck. That's a fighter built on nothing but hype and a glass heart. But it didn't stop there. The shame hit home when Dubois' own sister turned on him after the Usyk loss. Camp.
There always seems to be issues with fighters and managers. It just seems to be part of the course. But I don't think it's that with these two. I don't. Yeah, I'd love to kind of like give you the reasons as to why, and I've made a phone call and I know the answers, but honestly, I don't. It does surprise me.
This was the moment everything shattered, when your own blood calls you a disgrace. There's no defending it. Caroline Dubois, a rising star in her own right, didn't hold back. She called out her brother's performance for what it was: embarrassing, heartless, and shameful. No pride, no courage, no fire. Just a man who quit when it got too real. Caroline saw through the excuses, the fake body shot debate, the post-fight theatrics. She said what fans were screaming: Daniel Dubois doesn't have the heart of a real fighter. And when your sister, someone who shared the gym, the sacrifices, and the name, comes out and says you're a disgrace, that's beyond brutal. That's family disowning you in front of the boxing world. There's no comeback from that. You can lose a belt and still be respected, but when your own family pulls the plug, you've lost everything. And Dave Allen, he didn't sugarcoat it either. What he said next was pure public execution.
Obviously, there's no pretend. The man is supremely talented, but time and season is everything in the sport.
Dave Allen came in swinging and didn't miss. He saw what millions saw, a man who wasn't knocked out, but checked out. Dubois got up with no wobble, no panic, no pain, just casually strolled past Usyk like he was on a Sunday walk. That wasn't a warrior, that was a man desperate for an escape. Dave's brutal line about the quit committee hit harder than Usyk's jab. Because it's true, Dubois didn't go out on his shield, he folded again. It's become a pattern. When adversity hits, Dubois doesn't dig deep, he ducks out. That moment didn't just confirm he lost the fight, it confirmed he's not cut out for the top. Dave Allen said what most fighters are thinking, but too polite to say. Dubois has a quitting problem, and in boxing, that's a permanent stain you don't wash off. Then came Bakole, and he took the gloves off, dragging Dubois in the mud with no filter.
Put the count of 10, and he walked straight past Usyk, straight to the corner. It was completely fine. I think, and you know what, it's horrific to say I've quit. It's not horrific to say I'm quit. I'm chairman of the quit committee. I'm top quitter, I guess. Anyway, he quit, yeah, he did.
Martin Bakole went full savage, and he was right. He predicted Dubois wouldn't last 5 rounds, and surprise, he didn't. Bakole didn't just clown Dubois, he exposed him as a fighter who refuses to evolve. No jab, no adjustments, no hunger to improve. Just rinse and repeat mediocrity until someone knocks you out again. And Bakole didn't stop there. He straight up said Dubois deserved the beating. Why? Because he brought nothing new to the table. Same boring blueprint, same soft heart, same fake toughness. Meanwhile, Usyk's out here beating legends and conquering divisions, while Dubois is collecting paychecks and L's. Bakole calling him out wasn't just a troll, it was the truth echoing across the division. Dubois isn't feared, he's figured out. Everyone knows how to beat him now. Just wait for the moment he mentally checks out, then finish him off. Easy work. And to really put it in perspective, even Bakole turned from roasting Dubois to praising Usyk like a machine.
I said it before the fight, even today, before today, that Daniel Dubois would never pass 5 rounds if he kept boxing like the same way he boxed last time he fought Usyk. But he did the same. There was no jab, nothing changed. He deserved the knockout because he never changed something like he's supposed to change.
Bakole's tone shifted when he spoke about Usyk from trolling Dubois to straight up awe. That contrast alone shows the gap. While Dubois was collapsing under pressure, Usyk was rising to greatness. Bakole called him a machine, and it's true. Usyk isn't just good, he's elite, untouchable, clinical. He dismantled Dubois without ever needing to switch gears. And the fact that someone like Bakole, a legit heavyweight threat, praises Usyk so highly just underlines how out of place Dubois was in that ring. He didn't belong there. He wasn't ready, and after all the hype, all the excuses, all the controversy about that body shot, the real difference was simple. Usyk is levels above, mentally, physically, technically. While Usyk keeps writing history, Dubois keeps rewriting excuses. One is building a legacy, the other is barely clinging to relevance. And in Bakoli's eyes, that's not even a debate.
It's the best for right now. For our this moment now is the best. Retire or keep fighting. He done amazing. This guy is a machine. So it's the best right now, to be honest. So he's still undefeated. No.
Tony Bellew delivered a brutal reality check, and every word hit like a sledgehammer. One clean body shot in the whole fight, and Usyk didn't even flinch. He mocked it, laughed at it, and Dubois had nothing else to offer. Bellew nailed it. The real Daniel Dubois doesn't want to fight. When things get tough, he checks out. This isn't a one-time fluke. It's a pattern that's followed him his entire career. When Joe Joyce broke his eye socket, Dubois looked for the exit. Against Usyk, same story. One moment of resistance, and he mentally folded like a cheap deck chair. Bellew wasn't being personal, he was being honest. That's why it hurts more. Coming from a real warrior, it stings because it's true. Dubois has all the physical tools, but none of the heart, none of the hunger. And at this level, you can't fake grit. You either have it or you don't. Bellew sees through the hype, the PR, the excuses, and what he sees is a fighter who simply doesn't want to suffer. That's not just disappointing, it's career ending. And then Johnny Nelson came in, not just questioning Dubois' mentality, but tearing down every weapon in his arsenal.
Landed one decent body shot the whole fight, to which Usyk tapped his belly and just said, "What was that?" And then there was zero else coming back. And that's, in my opinion, that's the attitude and that's the mentality of a guy that when the going gets tough, he doesn't want to fight. And he never changed that.
Johnny Nelson laid it out cold. Usyk didn't just beat Dubois, he dismantled him, layer by layer. He took away everything that made Dubois dangerous. The jab, gone. The power, neutralized. The footwork, exposed. The confidence, absolutely shattered. By round 5, Dubois was already sitting on the canvas, looking up like a schoolboy lost in a war zone. This wasn't a competitive scrap, it was a clinical demolition. Johnny's words paint a picture of a man who entered the ring hoping to survive, not win. Usyk wasn't even in third gear, and yet he made Dubois look like a confused amateur. Worse still, Usyk remained composed and classy, even after dishing out the punishment, while Dubois sat in disbelief, clueless, broken, and mentally done. Johnny didn't sugarcoat it. Dubois was stripped of every attribute he once had. By the end of the fight, he wasn't just physically beaten, he was spiritually erased. That's what happens when an elite boxer meets someone built on hype with no foundation. Dubois didn't just lose the bout, he lost every ounce of credibility he had left.
What he did to Daniel, it took away everything, all his attributes. He took away his jab, took away his power, took away his movement, took away his confidence, to the point where Daniel was putting his backside on the floor thinking, wow, we're only in round 5 here and I'm getting chopped up. This guy...
Now that the storm has passed and the dust has settled, Daniel Dubois stands as the most talked about collapse in modern heavyweight history. Not because of who beat him, but because of how easily he gave it all away. The man was once marketed as the future of British boxing, but what's left now is a shell of that hype, buried under the shame of quitting, and the thunderous sound of every voice, from Don Charles to Bellew, calling him out. This wasn't just a loss, it was a meltdown witnessed by the world. Don Charles walking away didn't just signal a split, it was a public rejection of a fighter who showed zero heart when it mattered most. Frank Warren knew the breakdown was coming, Gareth Davies saw the fracture, and even his sister Caroline wiped her hands clean. This is what happens when a fighter builds a career on power but lacks grit. Meanwhile, Usyk continues to write history, and the rest of the heavyweight division moves forward, without Dubois in the conversation. The truth is, no one fears him now. They mock him, and unless he reinvents everything from mindset to mechanics, this fall from grace may be permanent. Boxing doesn't forgive weakness, especially when it's shown on the biggest stage. The question now isn't if Dubois comes back, it's whether anyone even cares. Are you backing Don Charles and Team Usyk as they stay dominant? Or do you think Dubois can pull off a miracle and change the narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over.